Hey, everybody. It's Kevin and Kristin from RPH Ally, and Kristin is doing some incredible things in lab services and point of care testing. So today we're announcing the first episode of the Lab Services and Point of Care Testing show featuring our star Kristin. And someday I will learn how to point Kristin on this thing because it's backwards for me, and maybe let's do this featuring Kristin. But for this, we're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it simple. You've noticed that RPH Ally is doing lots of like individual shows and really mini bits for us, so we can really get you connected with the things that you care about in pharmacy and advance you. And so, one person I want to make sure that you're connected to, if you know you care about it or you don't, lab services and point of care testing is becoming a bigger and bigger thing that's impacting the pharmacy world in so many different ways. We're looking for different revenue streams. We're looking for new ways to, flex our clinical muscles. And this is an incredible space. So now to hand it off to our star of the show, to Kristin. Tell us more, Kristin, about, why you got into, I guess, in general with this and, where you and I kind of want to go and with lab services and point of care testing in 2023.
Yeah, Kevin, I'm so excited to be here because I know I'm like trying not to jump out of my seat because we've all endured like this interesting terrain over the last couple years. And I feel like so many people just jumped into COVID testing. Like if we were the people that were testing, were doing COVID testing. But I think a lot of people kind of started doing this testing and didn't really know exactly what they were getting into. So now here we are like 2 or 3 years later, and COVID testing is probably dying down for everybody. And I'm seeing people are putting it to the side, like, oh, okay, well, that phase is over. When really, like, this is the opportunity. Like that COVID testing was the springboard to get us. It opened the doors, like wide open. Yep. And so that's why I'm really excited to be talking about this today, because like the state of point of care testing is different today than it was 2 years ago, even a year ago.
Yeah.
And we have the opportunity to pivot. And whether you've been testing or you haven't even started, it doesn't even matter. But those gates have been opened and we have so much opportunity at our fingertips that we didn't have before.
I was listening to something the other day, Kristin, that was talking about like the number of pharmacies, and you and I have talked about the statistic, number of pharmacies prior to COVID that had CLIA waivers and then post-COVID. So you and I know this. We're not like knock on your head, don't know what to do next, because when we see the necessity to change, like this opportunity is like literally begging me, like literally begging me, we need more COVID testing, right? And so it's like, well, I better do it because it's right here. That's a whole different mindset than, okay, that isn't whacking me right in the face, but we have to get into a new creative way to look and identify needs in our communities, that are currently out there. And so what's going on, Kristin? Like what are people pivoting toward? What are you seeing kind of an increase in now that COVID's going away? Those individuals that said, I'm in point of care testing and lab services for the long haul because it's part of my business model now. I've truly converted. What are they doing? Like, what are you seeing the tea leaves and seeing the trends?
Absolutely. Those are such good questions. And so the people that have been kind of doing this and they're starting to shift and continue testing, people are starting to bring on like COVID flu combo tests, right? Because the symptoms are all the same. We don't really know which is which. And now there's these great high accuracy, very reliable tests that are honestly, they're pretty cheap. So a nice COVID flu combo can just replace your COVID or replace your flu. Why do we need both, right? So a nice COVID flu combo, people are getting into strep testing. People are now doing RSV, especially with the recent spikes. And I find this ironic because a couple of years ago when the whole pandemic started, some of the leaders in the industry, the healthcare industry in general, were saying, oh, we shouldn't isolate from one another because it's going to come back. Like it's going to come back tenfold. And here I feel like we have arrived at that point, possibly with all this RSV. So that's what people are doing. And those are like an infectious disease, probably more peaks like in the winter months. But then outside of that, like year-round opportunities, A1C, lipid panels, and INRs are are really coming to the front of this whole testing industry.
So I'm super interested in that, that you and I can geek out on clinical stuff all day. But when it comes to the infectious disease, like it's very responsive. And you and I have seen, like when we were students back in the day, and probably when our grandparents were students back in the day, like strep testing, it feels like it's been around forever, right? So those kinds of things really remind me of like what's happening with RSV and COVID and flu. Very simple, straightforward. Here's the test, even a test and treat combo if you're in a state that has a collaborative practice agreement.
Mm-hmm.
But that really tickles my fancy, so to speak, is everything you're talking about in chronic care management and how we can contract with that and how we can make it much more of a part of the service. Like we can fully integrate it in instead of it just being a solution. So when we're doing A1C testing, when we're doing INRs, those kinds of things, like we're hitting on two major disease states, right? I mean,
Huge.
If you look at any insurance trend, Kristin, like you already know this, biologics and diabetes cost the most when it comes to just overall care. Like those are the two things of just slamming the healthcare system, hitting all the insurers, hitting the employers. So for you, like when you're looking into those things, have you seen some more creative ways of truly integrating those rather than just, hey, patient A, B, and C, like I have these things to offer you? Like how are people tying it in?
So I think that's where most people are really starting to struggle. And that's that's where the channel comes in, because I have so many ideas on how, depending on your setting, you can make this work. And I mean, things as simple as bundling them with other services that you might already be offering, or doing things that maybe your testing is included in a membership type situation. There's just really so many options. Maybe you pair it with a functional medicine practice that you're already navigating, or PGX. Like, we're testing people, so why not start offering these other testing services? And I want to go back to your point about like these acute care needs like COVID and flu and strep.
Right.
In pharmacy, we've always had this kind of a problem that our clientele was like 65 and older, right?
Yes.
And we were always trying to, how do we get the families in the door? This is how you get the families in the door, because Kevin, if you had a place to take your kids to get tested because they were sick and you knew you'd have your results within an hour, the appointment would run on time, but you had to pay $100 for it, would you do it?
Absolutely.
I would do it in a heartbeat, because I don't want to deal with the urgent care setting. I don't want to deal with the ER. And you know what else I don't want to deal with my high deductible plan is not knowing how much I'm going to end up getting back after I go.
Like, I have insurance. I have insurance, but even if I go somewhere, I think, oh, I'm covered. No, I'm not. Like,
no.
Most plans right now, like you're getting that out of pocket. Like you're going to be hit with these exact same kind of bills, but instead of paying someone for doing the service, the complete service, and giving you even more on top of that, you're paying for a point solution that then your insurance is being charged on top of that, and you're paying premiums on. So
Exactly.
Losing money, in the whole run of things of not going through a point of care testing, laboratory service, pharmacy, they can give you so much more. So I'm with you 100%, but you said something that I love, is getting the families in the door.
Mm-hmm.
That is an interesting trend that I feel like you're very attuned to. That what is happening right now is we have trust in establishment, especially in community pharmacies, that we have long-standing individuals that have been there and they care about those people, and it's a cheers type environment, right? You come in, everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
This for the next generation. There's not that interconnection. So tell us a little bit more, and I know we're running long on the show and we'll go a few more minutes, but tell us more about just why do we need point of care testing to truly bring that foot traffic in and actually make it profitable, not just foot traffic we're losing money on?
I mean, I think maybe it's not so obvious why we need it. We need the revenue. We need to show the community, our communities, and the public in general, that pharmacists are more capable of doing other things, than dispensing medication. And this is just an easy point, but people are comparing this to the time when we weren't doing immunizations yet. Like, this is the next immunization wave. Wow. So whether you want to accept it or you don't is completely up to you. Yes. But my personal opinion, and I could be proven wrong, but we'll see. But I think that point of care testing is going to go the same way immunizations went. And the sooner we get on board, the quicker we can establish our facility as a place where the community can come to get a service. And then we can just continue to capitalize on that and provide that service to our communities and just continue to expand. Yes. With consultations and all kinds of different things, because it just pairs with so much of what we do and we see on a daily basis.
I love how you described it, like the first domino. Like you've got to do this to be able to get their mindset, the community's mindset, to go, oh, that's not just a place that I get drugs and get somebody to poke something in my arm. Like they're doing something more, and that is just it's a tipping point. Like we can do this, and look what else we can do. I love it.
Yeah, and we're associating ourselves with a product still. So it's like, okay, they give me a medication. Well, now they give me a test. Okay, my brain can wrap around that. And then when we've trained them to do that, then we can say, okay, well, I can also do a consultation for an extra, $75. And it's like, look how much easier that was, rather than like jumping into consultations and they're not understanding why you're asking them to pay out of pocket for something you've been giving to them for free for decades.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're shifting to appointment-based thinking. You're thinking about, how do I leverage the relationship overall? I think it's fantastic. So tell everybody, as we kind of sign off on our first episode, which is super fun, to talk about all the potential in it. When they come to your channel, Kristin, like what are the things that you're going to drop in there for nuggets? So every show, Kristin she's just a wealth of knowledge, and she wants to be able to give like, hey, you come and check out the show, come to Kristin's channel, and she's going to drop some information so that you can deep dive a little bit further into, what's kind of going on. And the last thing I wanted you to mention too is just, what are we going to talk about next time?
I don't know. What are we going to talk about next time, Kevin? There's so much to talk about. So with the channel, if you come over and you actually come into the channel, the 4 main pillars that we're going to be focusing on are office hours, so that I can just be there at a set time to support you, and you can pop in, spend the whole time with me if you wanted to, or, ask a question and leave. We're also going to do some thorough Q&As so that you're comfortable with the services that you're offering. Some trainings. We'll have 1 training or guest speaker per month, and then also a monthly resource. So whether that's a drop of Canva template that you can use for marketing, or it's a mindset tool to help yourself. Who knows what it'll be, but some monthly resources. But really here, the Lab Services and Point of Care Testing channel is to help lift you up as an entrepreneur and use testing to create your dream career.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm so excited about your channel and people coming in. If you want to be able to come and peek and just see what Kristin has going on, she's got stuff there already for you to be able to look at. And after every single episode, we'll put more in there for you to be able to pull in and just check out what's going on in point of care testing. Because I think it's going to become a very important part of all of our careers and of our profession. So come in, take a peek. Next week, Kristin, I'll think about it a little bit. But honestly, your and I's conversation about CLIA, like what is happening in CLIA? Like what is a CLIA waiver? How do I get involved? If I'm already involved in CLIA, how do I expand things further to be able to do more? So maybe we'll touch and dabble on that a little bit.
Let's do it.
Good. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.